Hi, welcome back to our channel, Two Brothers Opinions. My name is Barry. This is my brother Mark.
Yeah, today we were thinking of talking about a couple of things. One is something that we both did, which was drive a school bus. And we want to talk about school bus safety and the need for that. And as we were discussing what we were going to talk about today, it kind of falls into what's currently going on, which is the Department of Education and whether that should be closed or not. So we thought we'd hit both topics and give you our opinions.
Absolutely. We both drove school buses. I drive special needs, and he didn't.
No, I just drove in a small town. I just drove regular route, but it was a elementary, middle school, and high school all in one day. And then, so you drive in the morning, go home for a couple hours, and then go back in the afternoon and pick them up and bring the kids home. So it was different than what Barry's doing, because he's doing more special needs, and mine was basically like a regular school bus.
Yeah, 40-footer,
yeah,
which holds a lot more children than mine does.
Yeah, we'd have 20. I think it was like 26 seats, and we'd have 2 to 3 kids in a seat, especially for the elementary. High school was smaller, and middle school was about half the bus.
Mm-hmm. I drive in a inner city. I do live in a smaller town, and I commute to work about 20, 25 minutes. My bus is what they call a Type 2. It's not even half the size of his, and mine holds about 32 passengers.
Yeah, and so we thought, having done that, well, we've both encountered situations that were where a car would blow right through your stop sign, and the need for everybody to be alert and be safe, whether that's the driver who's paying attention to, cars coming towards you, cars behind you, kids at the bus stop, making sure everybody gets on and off the bus safely, and while they're on the bus, sitting safely. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about that. But your experience is different because you have kids who have either have to be harnessed in or maybe wheelchairs.
Wheelchair and seat belted in.
Yeah. So in our opinion, it's a nice job. It's a nice job. A long time ago, it used to be maybe a job that a mom would do to just get a little extra money or whatever. But now it's more of a career.
A career, definitely.
Yeah. And so I think the average person doesn't realize when you're driving and you're on your way to work and you're behind a bus.
The challenges.
Definitely the challenges
of that bus driver.
Everything that's going on. Because again, you're watching the cars on the road. Especially if it's not raining or snowing, because we're in the Northeast. So you're worried about road conditions. You're worried about kids being at the bus stop and being safe at the bus stop, or crossing the road to get onto the bus or get off the bus, and everything that's going on. And then you have the kids that are still on the bus, and are they, and it's usually the younger ones, but are they sitting safely? Are they, throwing stuff? So you're watching
who's standing.
Yeah, you're watching everything that's going on outside the bus, and you're watching everything that's going on inside the bus.
Right, and we also realize that people are in a rush to get to work, and I say wake up a little earlier. Mm-hmm. And so you're not much of in a rush, especially if you know you're going to be hitting school buses. When school's in session, they're on the road, sharing the road with you. Please be courteous. Like I said, I drive in an inner city, and people blow right through my stop sign. I pick up on the curb, one student at a time. And if they do blow it, I try to get their description of their car. It's a $450 ticket.
Yeah, and there are times when I've heard on the radio other bus drivers say that they, here's the license plate number of the car. And it happens a few times, at least in my small town, a few times a week. That's a lot.
Oh, it happens every day, sometimes twice a day in my situation.
Yeah.
In an inner city. I just don't understand what the rush is and why you're possibly going to hurt a child.
Yeah, because it makes everybody unsafe. If you're in a hurry to go to work and you're going to go around a school bus and blow through the sign, you really don't want to have to deal with the fact that you might have hit a kid.
Mm-hmm. And another safety issue is the children on board. And the reason for this video, at the beginning of this video, is safety. Please talk to your children about staying on the bus, in their seatbelts, not standing, not throwing things. Like I said, my situation is different. I do have a monitor on board that will monitor children, but we're only allowed to do certain things per law. His situation is different. I'll let you speak on that.
Yeah, I mean, it was different in terms of the kids that are going on the bus are not special needs, so there are times when you can have a talk with them and get them to follow directions. That may last 5 minutes, or might last the whole bus ride. But in the afternoon, it starts all over again because they're in a big rush to want to get home, and they've been cooped up in school all day. So it's a bit of a challenge. You have to. You said earlier, you have to be a special person, and you have to know how to deal with kids, and you have to have a lot of patience.
Absolutely, absolutely. Being a school bus driver is very rewarding. Also, there's a huge shortage of bus drivers right now. Small towns, big cities. We understand that sometimes it's the pay. People just don't want to do it sometimes, but there's special people that do that, like myself. I love driving a school bus. I'm approaching my third year doing it, and I find it very rewarding. If you want to earn extra money, please, seek out different companies, because wages are increasing.
Yeah,
that was a big thing. People didn't want to do it because the wages weren't there.
Yeah, some of the wages in some towns are approaching like $30 an hour,
and those are usually union lots.
And in the Northeast where we live, you can't have a decent living making $12-15 an hour because you can't even afford to live. But if you're getting up in the mid-20s to $30 an hour, that's not bad money for
a livable wage.
Yeah, I mean, in my situation, I was probably working about 22 hours a week, but you're closer to 40, aren't you?
I'm closer to 40 hours a week. Right now, we're short drivers.
Yeah.
We have 2 routes on some buses. I'm picking up extra kids.
Yeah, so when you're a bus driver and you're picking up extra kids and you're doubling up on a route and you're trying to deal with that amount of kids and you're on a schedule. I mean, there are stops. You're supposed to be at certain stops at certain times. So there is a lot of stress. Mm-hmm. Which could add to things being safe or unsafe. Again, if everyone around you is making it more difficult, it can be tough. On the other hand, if things go smooth, it's a nice little job.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Or career.
It's not bad. I enjoy it. I enjoy it, picking up the kids. You do have your favorites, and you have some of the ones that are more challenging. But that's the name of the game. That's how it is.
You're getting involved in that when you are a special needs bus driver.
Absolutely.
Or even if you're just driving a regular bus and you're still dealing with, kindergartners, first graders, and you want them to be safe. Middle school kids, they act
a little bit more rambunctious.
A little bit, but usually if you have a talk with them, they'll calm down. And the high school kids are mostly sleeping in the morning anyways, so they weren't really a big problem. But having to deal with the schools and the kids makes you pay attention to what else is going on. And obviously, right now in the news, there's conversations about the Department of Education and whether that is needed, is going to be shut down, is going to be reduced in size, and how that will affect everyone. And people are on both sides. There are people who believe that it's a good thing, get rid of it, it's too much government, and give it in the hands of the state and let the states run it. And
one of the things that I was talking about to you earlier before we started the video was a lot of special needs programs, and which would affect me, is funded by the government. It goes from the government to the state. And from what I'm hearing is that those programs will not be affected. It's not like they're going to shut down the Department of Education and that's it. The money will come from other areas.
Because it did at one point. I mean, I believe, even though we were looking it up and realized that this goes all the way back to President Andrew Johnson,
who was the vice president of Abraham Lincoln.
So you're going back into the 1860s, where he brought up the idea of the Department of Education. But it seems that, again, from the quick research that we did, that it wasn't really codified until like Jimmy Carter in 1979. So it's been around for a long time. But, you know, if we're talking Carter in 1979, well, I had already been out of high school. So somehow, you know,
I was in high school.
I got a public education. There was money there. There were books. We learned. And
yeah, now you have teachers complaining that they're bringing in pens, pencils, papers out of their pocket, which shouldn't happen.
No, because everything was supplied. We pretty much didn't have to bring anything to school because books were supplied, paper was supplied. You know, we did, you know, but you were carting books back and forth, and now kids have Chromebooks and they, you know, they do stuff on computers. But you know, we learned, and one of the things I always say is like somehow before the Department of Education and all that federal money, somehow we you know, trained people in schools, educated them, and they got us to the moon. For those of you
supposedly, that's another topic.
For those of you who believe we went to the moon or didn't, either way, we differ on that a little bit, but that's okay. But
that's why this show is.
But, you know, you still had
opinions.
Yeah, you still had lawyers, you had doctors, and you know, there were smart people back then. So I'm not sure that we needed to throw millions and millions and millions of dollars at kids. And according to what they're saying, you know, out of 40 countries, we're ranked 40th. So somehow
we spend the most.
Yeah, we spend the most. So somehow we're not doing a good job. So we thought we'd hit that topic a little bit.
And that's like buying the most expensive car and driving a 1962 Volkswagen.
Yeah. and at some point, you just want to get where you want to get to.
Yeah.
So I don't, you know.
Our opinion is, my opinion, this is my personal opinion, I think it should go.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a bloated thing where you got, I forgot how many people are in the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. Okay, they're not in the classroom. So maybe that money could go somewhere else. And if the states are running it, then the parents, I believe, have more power to go to your local Board of Ed and argue for what you want. I think you should be doing that anyways. And you're not a terrorist. You're not, if you go and you confront these people on the lousy job that some of them are doing. There are great teachers. There are amazing kids who come out of these schools, really smart. Mm-hmm. But we're letting down a lot of people. When kids are graduating high school and can't read, that's a problem.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. So, you know, we think that the money could be used better. And then you have kids getting to school safe, going to a school in a town
of their choice if they want.
And they're learning and they're coming out with an education. So they're going to school safely and they're coming out educated. And I think that's, you know, mm-hmm. as simple as we can say it in a short video.
I think magnet schools were great when they came out with magnet schools.
Yeah,
I think those are awesome. And
again, I think the reports from most magnet schools and private schools are that kids come out better educated. I know in our state, a lot of the Catholic schools have closed.
They're gone.
But there are a lot of schools, Catholic schools, where the kids are coming out with a better education. So I think public schools need to do a way better job. Now, we both went to public school. Yep. So I'm not against public schools at all. You know,
no. Well, our parents, when we moved where we did from that small town that we talked about in the previous video, of course, I was very young. I didn't have a say-so. Mm-hmm. But where we moved to, they researched what was the so-called best school in that city. And we moved 2 streets over from that school.
Right, because they wanted us
to have a good education,
to go to the better school. I mean, and again, we weren't rich. It wasn't a private school. It was just a neighborhood school. But it was a good school. You came out of there educated. Mm-hmm. We then went to a public high school. There were like 7 high schools in our city at the time. And there was a kid in my class who went to Yale. I mean, so, you got out of it what you wanted. Mm-hmm. So it didn't feel like, the teachers union was running it. It felt like teachers were teaching. And it was basic stuff. You learned basic, reading, writing, math, science, history. I mean, you learned what you need to learn.
Yeah. I think some of the ways they teach today are crazy.
Yeah.
2 and 2 is 4 when I went to school. Not 2 and 2 is 4 minus 1, carry the 3, then it's 7, then 8. And next thing you know, you get the answer. I just don't understand what they're doing with the way that they teach nowadays. They say it's better for the kid.
Because there are a lot of videos.
You've seen some of the math problems that your child.
Oh God, yeah. My daughter's currently in high school.
You're like, why did they just do it this way?
Yeah,
and you get the same answer.
But I have stepdaughters that were in school 30 years ago, and they would come home and like, I don't understand this. And I would say, well, forget what they're teaching you and look at it this way. And they're like, oh, is that what they're doing? I'm like, yeah, that's what they're doing. So there are simpler ways to teach things. And I try to do that with my daughter now, who's in high school, with math and stuff. I'm like, here's what you're doing. Here's what they're saying. And she's like, oh.
And why can't they teach it that way?
Yeah, I don't get it either. But so I think things need to be overhauled in all of government. It's way too big. And I think it needs to get back down to a smaller grassroots kind of a system where you should be able to walk into your school and say, hey, I don't like what's going on. My kid's not learning. What's the problem? I also think a long time ago when they stopped holding kids back, this is my own opinion, but I think when a kid couldn't learn, had a hard time, keep them back a year.
Yeah, I did. I stayed back in 7th grade.
But now they feel bad for the kid.
Yeah, no kid left behind. I'm sorry, I was left behind.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
I know.
I'm okay.
Yeah. So anyways, like I said, we wanted to talk about, in general, the whole school and education.
And transportation.
Yeah, right. And, that whole thing. So we started out with the bus driving and the safety, because that's important. The kids need to be safe. And we've both done the job, and we know it can be tough. But then, as we were talking about what we wanted to do today, we realized that, okay, well, that education is in the news now. So we thought we'd throw a little bit of something in there. Anyways, I'm pretty good. Anything else you want to say?
No, I pretty much said it all. We love to see your comments.
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously people are going to have different
comments. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're like I said, this is an opinion channel, and you have an opinion, and so do we.
Yeah.
It's not about offending anyone.
Nope. But we're curious to see what people think. And based on your comments, it may give us new topics to explore. And that'll keep the channel going.
Going to the moon is pretty cool. And of course, we'll probably make someone a little bit edgy on that one, but that's okay.
It's fun.
That's all right. It's all in fun. But we all have our different beliefs, and that's okay. This is America. That's what it's about. Everybody coming here with different beliefs.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I think that's another video wrapped up.
Yep. I think so.
I think this is what we're going to do from now on.
Yeah.
Just short, quick. This is about 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I think it goes over very well. We don't want to drag it out too far.
No. But it's just, if you got an extra 10, 15 minutes and you want to check out what two brothers have to say.
Yeah, whether you agree or not, we're happy.
Take a listen.
Yep. Alrighty. Thank you.